Hey, I'm Baz, and welcome back to 20 Minute Gamer, the channel where I test whether a game can hook you in just 20 minutes. As a busy dad and filmmaker, I don't have hours to burn hoping a game gets good, so I judge games by their opening moments to help others like me decide if they're worth the time. Today, I'm playing Resident Evil 3, originally released in 1999 on the PlayStation 1 and developed by Capcom. I'm playing it emulated on PC using Duckstation. I was a huge fan of Resident Evil back in the late 90s, and played Resident Evil 2 to death, so the hype for this follow-up was real. I remember poring over game magazines, obsessing over every detail, story hints, new characters, and most exciting of all, the promise of exploring the entire city of Raccoon City, rather than being locked into one or two buildings. That concept alone blew my mind at the time. I was curious to see if Resident Evil 3 still packed the same punch I remembered, and whether it could live up to the 20-minute challenge. Story.
Okay, we've got to get out of here.
You begin in the middle of chaos. Jill Valentine, our protagonist, is holed up with a survivor, clearly exhausted. She decides that she's done hiding and heads out into the burning, undead-infested streets of Raccoon City. The story unfolds as you explore. You soon meet Brad, a familiar face from previous games, and he's clearly terrified. That moment, actually seeing a STARS member openly panic, sets a really great tone. It builds tension and hints that something even worse than zombies is coming. Sure enough, the first 20 minutes accumulate in the introduction of Nemesis, who brutally ends Brad and sets his sights on you. The segment ended just as I was thrown into the police station from Resident Evil 2. It's a brilliantly timed crescendo to your first 20 minutes and leaves you wanting more. 7 out of 10. Controls. The game retains the classic tank controls. Unlike Dino Crisis, I couldn't find a quick turn button, and I really did miss it. The camera angle changes became a real issue when running through large outdoor areas like the streets. Every change of angle meant I had to stop, readjust, and then keep going, which did break the immersion and pacing. These kinds of limitations were understandable back then, but in 2025 they can feel a bit dated. That said, the basics of combat, exploration, and item management are still functional and familiar. I would have liked a smoother navigation experience, especially for city exploration. Score 6 out of 10. Atmosphere. The atmosphere is one of the game's strongest aspects. The streets are filled with fire, crashed cars, and infected civilians. Panic is everywhere. The environmental storytelling is top-notch. You really feel like you're walking through a city that's already lost. Compared to Resident Evil 2, there's a lot more chaos and action crammed into this opening section. Jump scares are well timed, and the sense of dread never really lets up. From music stingers to off-screen sounds and panic survivors, everything combines to deliver a tense, gritty survival horror experience. Score 9 out of 10. Music and sound. Sound design is once again excellent. The creak of doors, snarling zombies off-screen, and the familiar thud of footsteps really help sell the world. The music ramps up tension and drops away at just the right moments to keep you on edge. Two moments really stood out to me. First of all, the save room music. I always love these save zones, and the music here is instantly calming. Secondly, there was a wonderfully designed audio moment when I blew a zombie's head off close to the screen. Because he was close to the screen, the sound effect was louder and much more intense, making it feel far more impactful. A small detail, but it really did stand out. Score 8 out of 10. Graphics and style. Visually, the game is on par with Resident Evil 2. Static pre-rendered backgrounds combined with 3D character models. The aesthetic still works today thanks to strong art direction and clever camera angles. Jill's model looks a little too clean given the state of the world around her, but that's a minor nitpick. I did allow myself one cutscene, the introduction of the Nemesis and the death of Brad. That scene still looks phenomenal. The motion capture and animation is cinematic and honestly on par with the best CGI of that era. Score 9 out of 10. Gameplay. So here's where things felt a little bit uneven. The gameplay opened with what felt like an action game. I had access to a full arsenal, so magnum, shotgun, machine gun, which definitely wasn't how I remember it back in the day. Possibly had the American version or something, or it was on easy mode, but either way, combat was a breeze as a result. I did enjoy shooting zombies and getting a good few headshots, but there was very little tension. The dogs were a nice surprise, but the rest of the encounters were fairly tame. More frustrating was the amount of backtracking and navigation required. Even in 20 minutes, I found myself revisiting the same areas, and the frequent camera angle changes made it a bit of a chore. That said, blowing up zombies never gets old, and the pacing ramps up nicely. I just wish the early game balanced exploration and the challenge a little bit better. Score 6 out of 10. Final verdict, was it really worth the 20 minutes? Well, from a nostalgia point of view, absolutely, but even with the rose tinted glasses off, there's a lot to enjoy here. The camera angles and backtracking are a bit clunky by modern standards, and being overpowered early on takes away from the tension, but everything else holds on pretty strong. The visuals, sound, atmosphere and pacing are all top tier, and with the 20-minute session ending on the Nemesis reveal, yep, that's enough of a cliffhanger to make anyone want to keep playing. Final score, 8 out of 10. Definitely worth your time, even in 2025. So, did you play Resident Evil 3 back in the day? Do you prefer the original or the remake? And how do you think it stacks up against Resident Evil 2? Let me know your favourite moment from the game, or just shout out if the Nemesis still gives you nightmares. If you like this review, a like and subscribe would really help the channel out. Cheers for watching, and I'll catch you next time on 20 Minute Gamer.